And then the goal.
Yeah.
Overhead kick, Johnny
Classic.
Gale, 84th minute. Oh, my word. That was absolutely. I do remember it. I'm sure Wembley originally had a roof. It absolutely came off when that goal in as well. And everyone's looking at us. Did Johnny Gale really score that? Because he weren't that type of player. He was a big lad. Johnny Gale was, and he was more of a physical.
Yeah.
You know, almost like a heading the ball. You know, and physical type of centre forward. But he did an overhead kick. So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue, and it's arrived. This is the podcast where we're going to talk about our trip to Wembley in the EFL Trophy final against Peterborough United. Now, the good news is we're all in a great mood. We are promoted to the Championship. I can't even say that without smiling. We're back. We're a Championship club again, and we are now heading off to Wembley. So what exciting times for the Blues. And in this podcast, slightly different in terms of it's a cup final podcast. We don't get to do many of them, do we? We're going to preview the game. We're going to talk about what our expectations of the game are. A bit about Peterborough, which we know a little bit about because we played them a few days ago, and just give our general views on the final, Matt. So off to Wembley, Matt.
I'm loving your energy and your excitement, Dad. It's contagious. I'm so excited. I mean, I'm wearing the third kit in anticipation for the game.
I ain't got one.
I can't wait. I mean, I feel like it's been a long old season this season. You know, going into most games, being the favourites. It's been an experience being a League One club, and I think I'm just going to enjoy Sunday. I'm going to eat some rubbish food. I'm going to drink quite a bit of beer. I'm going to shout my head off when during Keep Right On, and I'm just going to have a great day, Dad. I'm really, really looking forward to it. And our tickets came today. I hope all the Blues fans have got those secured and locked in now. And it feels real now, doesn't it? Like the fact that we're going to Wembley.
Yeah, and also as well, it's the pressure of a league game is that you need the 3 points because you're accumulating that to get to where you need to be. This is different, isn't it? It's actually a trophy at the end of this. It's a final. It's at Wembley, and reckon there'll be, like, with hospitality, almost 50,000 Blues fans that are going to be there. Probably with the 10,000 in the Peterborough end, probably 60,000. But it's going to be great, isn't it? Now, we saw we was at Peterborough, weren't we, the other night when we got promoted, and that was with 4,000 Blues fans, and the atmosphere there was electric, wasn't it? Now, imagine that multiplied 10 times with like 40, 50,000 Blues fans there. It is going to be fabulous, isn't it?
It is. It's going to be great, Dad.
But Blues have worked hard to get there, Obviously, we've had a lot of games. The EFL Trophy, it's a new experience for most of us Blues fans in terms of the style of the EFL Trophy. Yeah. Actually, it starts off as a league system. So,
well, in fact, Dad, that brings us on nicely to the first game that we played, which was against Walsall at home. And do you remember that everyone was leaving at the final whistle because they didn't realise it went to penalties. And then when Walsall won, they didn't actually get 3 points. They just got an additional 1 point. And everyone was like, what is this competition all about? It just sparked this whole, what is this? And
that was an interesting experience, wasn't it?
Doesn't that feel like years ago? Like, it's been a long old... And that's why I started by saying it's been a long old season. When you think about Fulham under-21s, Walsall, the group stages of the Vertu Trophy, it just feels like it was decades ago.
It does. I'm going to remind people of our journey through to the final. And also, I've got Peterborough as well, so we can just sort of see who they played and what they did. That sounds
good, yeah.
So, as you mentioned, in the group stages, we'll talk about us first. We had Walsall, Fulham under-21s and Shrewsbury. Now, we started off, as you say, at home to Walsall with a 1-1 draw, but that's not it, is it? Because, as you say, it went to penalties, and we lost the penalty shootout, and that meant that Walsall got an extra point than us. Then we played Shrewsbury, and then at Shrewsbury, and we beat them 4-0.
Some great goals that night as well.
It was fantastic
Waters' goal was a highlight for me. It's fantastic.
Yeah, there was some good football in that game, wasn't there, as well? 4-0. Who'd have thought that they beat us 3-2 in the league after that as well? But anyway, why did I mention that? And then we beat Fulham under-21 7-1 at St.Andrews, and that's what put us through to the next stage. Yeah. So for us, so Peterborough in their group stage, they had Stevenage, Crystal Palace under-21s, and Gillingham in their group. So their first game was away to Gillingham, and they beat them 2-1, obviously at Gillingham. Yeah. The second game, they beat Stevenage at home 2-0. And then their final game in the group, the third game in the group, they beat Crystal Palace under-21s 4-1. They topped their group with 9 points. So, although it's just the top two in every group that goes through to the next stages.
Also, though, we haven't mentioned it yet. It's worth saying that Peterborough are reigning champions.
Yes.
They won the trophy last
Yes.
year as well, so they're actually defending their title.
They are, so they've got an incentive to play for there, haven't they?
Exactly.
As well. In the next round, the round of 32, we were drawn away at Exeter City, and we beat them 2-1 at their place. And Peterborough were drawn at home to their local rivals Northampton, who they beat 3-0 in the EFL Trophy.
Okay.
Next, we had the quarterfinals. So we were in the southern section along with Peterborough. We beat Stevenage 1-0. That's Jay Stansfield came on late. Do you remember the late goal from Jay?
That was my scarily accurate prediction. Remember? I think I got it a minute out.
You was, yeah. Where Jay just went through and tapped it, and he came on as a late sub and scored that as well. Peterborough in that quarterfinal beat Cheltenham 3-2 at home.
Yeah.
Then we had the semi-final. Now we know that we beat Bradford in that semi-final 2-1.
Yeah.
But the semi-final for Peterborough was amazing because they were away to Wrexham.
Oh my word!
And I remember watching the game actually, and I remember that they were 2-0 down, weren't they? With was it into about the 60-odd minute, whatever? Scored a goal, but then they scored right at the end to equalise, and then took it into.
And the thing is, right before Peterborough equalised, the Wrexham fans were singing "Que Sera, Sera, we're going to Wembley."
Yes,
and it was like, oh my word! I felt embarrassed for them.
I think everybody was expecting it would be a Wrexham Blues final. I did as well. I'm sure the sponsors wanted that. I wanted Peterborough because of the Barry Fry connection.
Yeah, same.
That's what I wanted, and I'm sure.
And also, Dad, if we're going to be brutally honest, I'm sure Wrexham fans can appreciate and relate to this as well. It just brings the circus.
Yeah.
No one wants the circus and the. I mean, don't get me wrong. We have American owners now. We have to appreciate that that comes with the territory of, publicity and the hype. I get it, but like when you go to Wembley, I don't want all that over the top Tom Brady versus Ryan Reynolds,
I think if you was to speak to Tom Wagner, he would want that.
Oh, of course he would.
But I agree. As a fan, I'm about the football, and I agree. But that actually, it's that type of publicity that brings sponsors and revenue and stuff like that.
And Dad, I'm not knocking it. I know Wagner's a businessman; he's going to want the revenue. And if we played Wrexham, I'm sure we'd all be jumping, getting on board anyway. I'm just making a point as a Blues fan, just like thinking about the football.
Yeah, if I was a Wrexham fan, I'd be gutted in terms of that you're going to miss out on a trip to Wembley because you were 2-0 up and basically it was in your hands. And but they obviously now they've got their league to focus on as well. Yeah. So they in the end it was 2-2, and then Peterborough won 4-2 on penalties. So and then obviously it's a final, Blues versus Peterborough. Here's some facts about the EFL. This is a podcast about the EFL Trophy, so I'll give you a few facts about the EFL Trophy. Okay, now this is going to surprise a few Blues fans, I believe. This fact as well. The team that's won the EFL Trophy the most times is Bristol City. They've won it 3 times.
Okay.
Second, with a number of teams, is Birmingham City.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah.
No, because I thought if we beat Peterborough, we would be the most.
Well, we're equal most.
Equal
most with Bristol City. But a couple of teams have won it twice as well. Blackpool, Bolton, Carlisle, Grimsby, Peterborough have won it twice, so if they win it, they'll also be the most winners as well. Port Vale have won it twice, Rotherham, Stoke. There's a few teams that have won it twice, but obviously we haven't been this for 30 years, yet we're still up there with the highest amount of clubs that have won it.
Yeah, and to be fair, there's some epic moments, isn't there, Dad, from us in the final? The goals, some of the goals that we scored. There's a bloke that sits to the right of me down at St.Andrews, and he was saying, when we played Tranmere in the first one and then we played Carlisle in the second, there were some absolute great goals going in. And he said the atmosphere in Wembley was absolutely electric.
I'll come on to that in a minute, actually, because there's a man called Johnny Gale.
Yeah, because John Gale was interviewed at half time in one of the last games.
I was at that. We're going to talk about those 2 appearances that we made, and I'm going to some of the older Birmingham City supporters. I categorise myself in that category very much. I'm going to do a bit of name dropping here and just remind you of who was in our team when we played in the the first one was the what was it called when we first
auto windscreens?
No, it was the Leyland Daff. The second one was the auto windscreen. So it was the Leyland Daff. Okay, so the Leyland Daff final at Wembley was on the 26th of May 1991, and we played Tranmere Rovers. We won 3-2. This is the starting lineup. Now, in these days, you only had 2 substitutes as well.
Oh, okay.
This is. I know a load of Blues fans are going to remember these names, but the starting lineup on that day for Birmingham City was Martin Thomas in goal, Ian Clarkson, Vince Overson, Trevor Matthewson, John Frayne, Mark Yates, Dean Peer, Phil Robinson, Nigel Gleghorn, John Gale, and Simon Sturridge.
Right.
So that's on the bench. We had Robert Hopkins, Hoppy, what a good goal scorer he was, and Dennis Bailey. But we won the game 3-2. So Simon Sturridge scored in the 20th minute, and then Johnny Gale got his first goal in the 40th minute. But Tranmere equalised in the 60th. So they scored in the 60th and equalised in the 68th minute to make it 2. And then the goal, overhead kick, Johnny Gale, 84th minute. Oh my word. That was absolutely. I do remember it. I'm sure Wembley originally had a roof. It absolutely came off when that goal in as well. And everyone's looking at us. Did Johnny Gale really score that? Because he weren't that type of player. He was a big lad. Johnny Gale was, and he was more of a physical. You know, almost like a heading the ball. You know, and physical type of centre forward. But he did an overhead kick.
I've seen it. I've seen that goal many times. It's a Blues classic, isn't it? To win the Leyland Daff.
So that was Leyland Daff, and then we were there again a few years later in 1995, the 23rd of April 1995 against Carlisle. We won that 1-0. Paul Tate scored in the 103rd minute, so obviously it went to.
And he's got obviously I can't repeat the words on the top, but he pulls his top up, doesn't he?
Because they've got the imagery around the stadium, haven't they? Yeah. Just starting lineup for that game as well. It's just a few years later. In goal, Ian Bennett. You remember Ian Bennett?
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah.
Gary Paul, Dave Barnett, Liam Daish, Gary Cooper,
Liam Daish,
Jonathan Hunt, Mark Ward, Peter Shearer. Ricky Otto, Steve Claridge, and Big Kevin Francis.
Yeah, I know a lot of them. Yeah, I remember.
On the bench, 3 substitutes this time: Ryan Price, Paul Tate, and Louis Donowa.
Yeah.
Just to mention, in the first the Leyland Daff win a few years earlier, the manager was Lou Macari. For the Carlisle win. In the auto windscreen, it's Barry Fry.
Oh yeah, of course.
So I hope a few of the older, sort of more senior Blues fans will sort of remember that, because I was looking through this when I was doing a bit of research for the final and looking through. I said, some of these I just remember them all. In fact, actually, Matt, I remember the team that I've just called out in 1995 is when I first started taking you and your sister to watch the Blues.
Yeah, I remember.
So you're going to remember a lot of those players. Well, you might not. Actually,
I remember.
But a lot of the names. So we have got a good history of.
I think that top behind you was 96, 97 maybe. That was I think that was around that era. And I remember having the away one, which was red and white. So it was mainly red with white stripes. And I had Addy Bowler on the back.
Oh, yeah, totally Addy Bowler.
I think that was one of the first tops I ever had. I think the first game you ever took me to was it was at home to Barnsley in December, and it was 0-0.
Yeah.
But again, I always remember that kind of.
We was in the paddocks, and I mean, it's actually called the family stand now, isn't it? It's the Arthur's area, isn't it?
I always refer to it as the paddock.
Yeah.
It's just the old school thing to it, isn't it? But coming back to some of those players, what's great is Gale was at half-time having an interview. Steve Claridge was here recently. Was it at Orient game? Was he there?
No, Cambridge.
Cambridge.
He used to play for Cambridge as well.
That was it. And he got a good reception from both fans. Yeah. And Daish has been on the doing some of the retro kits.
I remember Liam Daish. I remember a game we played at Chester. Chester were a league team then, and we played Chester, and Liam Daish scored. I don't know how it happened. He went behind the goal where the Blues fans were, and somebody had a bugle and actually started playing the bugle, and he got booked for it. If anybody else remember that, I just stick saying to him, I thought, how'd you get a bugle into the ground? But I suppose it was Chester.
And why'd you get booked for playing it?
Maybe it's a crap tune. I don't know. I don't know what he was playing, but I used to like Liam Daish as well. Again, I think over the years at Blues, and it's great. It's great remembering. Yeah. He's a no nonsense type of player, and I think Blues fans really like those type of players. They don't take any messing.
We
work hard for the team, and he was exactly that type of player, Liam Daish. In fact, actually, he was he was one of the coaches, wasn't he?
He was. And as I said, he was on. When we did the retro kit with the I call it the Pope collar.
Yeah,
the top I'm not a massive fan of. We do have them, to be fair, but he was modelling that on the site. Liam Daish was. So again, just a good history for the team, isn't it? And hearing some of those names is really nostalgic. And what I love, Dad, sometimes we grab a beer at the top, don't we, on the Tilton?
Yeah.
And you see all these players, and you see the Leyland Daff, the auto window screens. You see Stern John, I think's on there. It kind of has pictures from the years, doesn't it, as it moves through?
Well, Stern John, he wasn't in those two finals.
No, but the point,
he's iconic because of the goals he scored against Villa and
Millwall.
And Millwall,
But the point is, it has all the memories of the club across, and Tate's on there, and Yeah, the Leyland Daffs on there, auto window screens on there. So it kind of, as you're having your beer and the Tilton on that one end, you can see all the memories that we've had as a club. It is a great place to stand and have a pint on top of the Tilton.
It's fantastic. I was really enjoyed this because obviously, as this is a preview of a final of a cup competition, I really enjoyed researching that and actually brought back so many memories when I looked at the names and stuff like that. And I thought, I'm sure Blues fans will enjoy that. Let's talk a little bit about Peterborough actually, because obviously we know a little bit about them.
Again,
we just played them a few days ago, so we did do a preview video for the league game, so we don't need to go too heavily into stats on that. But just as a general thing, just on current form, now, if we look at league form, just to see where they are at the moment, in the last 10, they've won 5, drawn 2 and lost 3, and Blues in the last 10 have won 8, drawn 1 and lost 1. So you could argue that both teams are in reasonable form. I think in the last few games they've lost a few games, but we talked about this in the preview video in terms of their the vast difference between their ability to score loads of goals and their ability to concede loads of goals as
exactly.
well. And that's where this game could be won or lost for us. It's if we can nullify their front line, I'm pretty sure we will almost definitely will score against them.
Yeah.
Because they do concede. I mean, they've conceded 72 goals in their league games. Only Crawley have conceded more in League One.
And you could see, Dad, when we were there on Tuesday, and don't get me wrong, Peterborough are a good team, and we call them the underachievers, don't we? And we mean that as a compliment because they can play football. But you can definitely see their defensive vulnerabilities. There are gaps. They are vulnerable. They do let you through quite a lot. I mean, Alfie May, after a couple of minutes, went through. We were, in that first half, creating quite a few chances. But, yeah, I think the thing that worries me, and I mentioned this in the pre-video, Dad, if I'm going to pick any area, is bigger pitch at Wembley. Poku, Mothersill, Adoa, Ricky J. Jones, fast players. They're going to have a bit more space than they would have at Peterborough. And it's just nullifying that pace, isn't it? Nullifying that speed.
Yeah.
And I think this is actually going to be a great game of football. I think on paper this has the opportunity to be a really entertaining game.
I do as well. And you know what, Matt? It's a one-off cup game, and they can go for it. You know, they can go for it because as you mentioned, they got the incentive of being the holders.
Yeah.
So they're not going to give up the trophy easy. And I just, you know what? I just think it's still a game of football. It's still 11 versus 11. Yeah, we are promoted. They haven't had a great season, but at the end of the day, like you said, I think the big pitch is going to make it. Like you mentioned, it's going to be a factor.
Yeah, 100%. And by the way, when I highlight Peterborough's positives, that's just an observation about where they're dangerous. We have more than enough to beat Peterborough again. We are a quality side. We control the ball really well, and even at Peterborough, it wasn't our best performance, but you could see when we controlled the ball, they were just chasing shadows at moments of the game.
Oh, we passed them to death at parts of the game.
Exactly, and we had 6 changes at the league game on Tuesday. We won't play. We'll play our full strength. Well, we'll play our closer to what the team that we've been seeing more regularly.
Yeah,
exactly that.
But I think that you are making a good point, Matt, in that we did make lots of changes, which surprised everybody in the league. That isn't going to be the starting lineup that starts against Peterborough.
No, it won't be.
And that tells us that Chris Davis is taking it seriously because obviously he felt like he wanted to rest a few players.
Exactly.
Well done to the players that came in, by the way. But obviously Chris Davis has one eye on this game,
and that's really worth stating. Dad, the players that came in, I thought did fantastic. I thought Bielek, Samstead, Luke Harris, Taylor Gardner-Hitman, Leonard.
Yeah.
Alfie.
Yeah.
They all did great. Yeah. They all did great over the course of 90 minutes. You can't really knock that performance. I think we did give them a few more chances than I would have liked. But as a team, I thought it was a good performance. The players stepped up, but I think we will see those 6 players rotated back out for the more regulars, which we've seen this season.
They remind me in terms of their stature, in terms of when you look at their team, like we were last season. They seem very small, don't they? Generally, on average, But one thing that really surprised, we had a conversation about this. They tried the long throw.
I know, it's bizarre, isn't it?
And they've got a good long throw. That's going to be a weapon as well, isn't it?
But they had some success with it.
Yeah, I know.
Which is even more staggering because we've got Clara at the back, Bielek at the back. Oh, by the way,
Alfie in attack.
I just about to say, against Peterborough on Tuesday, that song actually made sense again because Bielek and Alfie May were back on the pitch. It was like, that hasn't made sense since Wickham away, I don't think.
I think where was I think it was at Reading away, and the Blues fans adapted the song to Bielek on the bench. something like that. But yeah, it's good to see him back as well. But we sort of know that Peterborough's style of play is going to be very direct in terms of they will try and get the ball up through the wings, and they will look to put balls behind because they really have got pace, haven't they? A few times that Adoa went through onto the goal at Poku. I mean, he's a good player, he is
class.
And he's one we really will have to watch because he's really, really tricky. Reminds me a little bit of a Dembele type. But again, I'm not saying he's Dembele because obviously we knew that we had issues in terms of Dembele's ability to track back and stuff like that. But he's that style of player that will get the ball. It's almost like the ball stuck to his foot and he just takes it around players.
I think Dembele is an Aldi version of Poku. I think Poku's way better.
Yeah,
because he actually. But it's a fair comparison, by the way. I'm
talking about the style of player.
No.
I don't think it's actually fair to compare them like for like. Actually,
no.
I'm talking about the style of player.
No, exactly.
I like those type of players. We mentioned the player a little bit earlier, Louis Donowa, Stan Lazaridis. Players like that had the ability to ghost past.
Stan Lazaridis was fantastic. He glided past players at times. Really good player. And there's no doubt about it, Dad. Of all the players in the Peterborough team, Poku is the standout star who's going to cause. I mean, as I said, they have a good attacking line, but he's the problem. He's the one that's going to be a nuisance, and you could see it on Tuesday. But I have no doubt Cochrane's going to step up and get close to him. And Chris Davies has had the chance to view Peterborough now in their attacking line, so he'll know ways to adjust maybe, or ways to tactically nullify what they're going to do going forward. But,
you could argue as well that also Darren Ferguson has had the chance to look at us as well, so he can obviously.
With 6 changes, it's hard to say, but they had changes as well at the back. So.
Yeah. It's almost like a game of chess, wasn't it, in terms of who do what. But I think that game would have helped both managers to try and get a picture of what they'd like to do at Wembley. I mean, Poku is their leading scorer with 12 goals. Mothersill has 11. Ricky J. Jones 8, and obviously they're 3 of the 4 players that we spoke about.
Oh yeah,
and they've got like load of assists in them. Poker's got 8 assists, so he's got like 12 goals and 8 assists. Mothersill has 11 goals and 8 assists. Ricky J. Jones has got 8 goals and 3 assists. So there's goals and assists. So obviously they're setting each other up, aren't they?
Yeah, but what I would say that is, I think with the 6 changes at Peterborough on Tuesday, at times the game felt a little bit frantic, and we didn't have, I guess, the shape that we would typically have as a Blues team that we've seen this season under Chris Davies. At Wembley, we'll be back to default of structure, passing it around. We might see a bit of horseshoeing during the early stages of the game just while we scope it out and pounding the rock, as Chris Davies called it. I think we'll go back to a bit more of the style which we've seen this season, because when you make 6 changes, it's naturally going to make you a little bit unbalanced, because that's half the team. So we will come back to that control. I think we will have a lot more of the ball at Wembley. I think, and you think about the distribution we have from Allsop and some of our defenders.
I was just going to mention him. The wide pitch is going to suit him.
Oh, it's down to a T.
He'll be pinging balls over the top, and that's a really good weapon.
Laird's going to be key.
Yeah, Laird. Yeah, definitely.
Keshi Anderson will be key.
Yeah. The wide players. The wide players definitely. I mean, they play a same system as us, or they have done 4-2-3-1. So it's going to be like for like in terms of the way that they set up and play, which sort of makes for a good game actually when teams have got the same system. I mean, we obviously know we've recently beat Peterborough. We know that they've got great players on their forward line. They are vulnerable at the back. So do you want to have a quick chat about the Blues team, which would be an interesting one? And because he caught us out completely, didn't he, with the team selection against them in the league.
So sadly, it's my turn to do the defence, which is the boring part, isn't it? But I'll be interested to get your attacking thoughts, Dad. So again, defence and goalkeeper, it's got to be Allsop. Cochrane on the left, Ben Davies. Oh, well, Ben Davies wasn't featured in the Peterborough. Hopefully he was rested.
No, he was rested.
Okay. Okay. Because I was thinking to myself, if something's happened,
No, he was there. He was there.
He was. And to be fair, even if he was, Bielek did a fantastic job against Peterborough on Tuesday evening. Yeah. But anyway, I think our strongest is Cochrane, Ben Davies, Clara, and Laird.
Yeah, that's
with Allsop in goal.
I'm pretty sure that's what we're gonna have. So that's what I've got as well. Now I'm going to give you two scenarios here. One that I would like to see,
I've got
and
the
one
same.
that I think to see. Okay.
Yeah.
So the one that I think we'll see. Right, I think we'll see Anderson on the left. We'll have Pakenawata in the middle. I think that's pretty much taken as read. Yep. On the right, we'll probably have Dow, Williamson in the number 10, feeding into Stansfield. That's what I think we'll have, right? Mm-hmm. But this is what I would like to see. Okay, I'd like to see Stansfield on the left, Pakenawata in the middle, Anderson on the right, Dow in the number 10, feeding to Alfie May.
Okay.
That's what I would like to see, but I've got a feeling that he might go down to the first option where he'll play Williamson in the number 10. And I'm going to be brutally honest here. I think Williamson has not been as effective since his injury, since after Christmas, and he has not a passenger. That's not fair, but he's not been as effective in games.
I think that's a fair observation. That I think a lot of fans would agree. There's no doubt there's a player in there because we've seen it earlier in the season. He just hasn't been firing, has he? Interesting. So I've gone for something that's slightly different. I mean, I like Keshi Anderson on the left. I mean, don't get me wrong, he can do the right. I just think he looks a bit more comfortable on the left. So what I've gone for, what I agree with your observation of what Chris Davies is going to pick. What I would like to see is Pekinawata in the 6s as always, Keshi on the left, Dowell in the 10, Luke Harris on the right, feeding into Stansfield. That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah, I thought you might bring Luke Harris into the equation. I think he's put himself in that position where he's now got to be in consideration.
If Dowell's in the 10, that only has real space for Williamson or Luke Harris on the right, and recent form and energy and what they give us. I'd just being brutally honest, Dad. Coming back to what you said earlier with Williamson, I'd rather see Luke Harris.
No, but see, in my preferred choice, it would put Anderson on the right. I know you like him on the left. I get that, but
also I don't massively like Stansfield on the wing.
But they've done well, haven't they? So when they've been on, actually we had this discussion all through the season really about whether they could play together. But over the last few games, when they've both been on the pitch together, they've actually been really good and productive. Stansfield and May get together. So that is an option as well. But that it'd be great to get Blues fans' views on what they think the starting lineup will be. But the thing is, though, Matt, it shows us the options we have. And I suppose from my perspective, I think Chris Davies will want to go as attacking as possible. In the team, and and look at the most productive players.
So for me, Dad, when we were exploiting Peterborough on Tuesday, when we did have that little moment in the first half and stuff. For me personally, I thought it was crying out for Stansfield to go into those gaps. So for me personally, I think Stansfield has to be in the 9 against Peterborough, because if he can get in those channels and in those gaps, he can be really, really dangerous. And I think May's a good weapon in these circumstances off the bench. I love Alfie May, absolute bagsman. But I think this is a game, my personal opinion, Stansfield in the 9 for me. And I think he's going to cause them some problems. To be fair, we kind of went around the houses then. Just to repeat what we'd like to see, I'm going to go Pekinawata, Keshi, Dowell, Luke Harris into Stansfield.
Okay, so for me, what I would like to see is Pekinawata in the 6s, with Anderson on the right, Stansfield on the left, Dowell in the number 10, feeding into Alfie May.
To be honest with you, Dad, if I turned up to Wembley and he'd picked what you've just said, I'd be happy as well. I think with the quality that we have, I mean, there are certain things I've just mentioned, like I don't like players in certain positions, but I'd still be happy that the quality that we have on the pitch is just outstanding, isn't it?
Okay, so that brings us on to our final bit then, which is the score prediction. This is a Wembley final. I'm going to let you to go first.
You get me? Okay, so I don't know whether many fans are going to like my prediction. So I've gone for a 2-2 draw in the 90 minutes, and I've gone for Blues to win in extra time, 3-2.
3-2 to Blues. Okay. I'm going all out here. I'm going all out. I'm going to go for Birmingham City 4, Peterborough 2.
Nice.
Well, I hope so.
I hope you're right. Yeah.
Because I can see, I was amazed when we played them in the league game that there was only 3 goals. Because the game, any game against Peterborough, particularly against an attacking team, is screaming goals, isn't it? And it was 2-1. I think that was partly because maybe the managers had the final on their minds and they were just taking players off and resting them or whatever. And it was 2-1. But I do think this will be an all-out attack. Yeah. And I think there's going to be a lot of goals in this game. So I'm going to go for Birmingham City 4.
Nice.
Peterborough 2.
So I've gone for 2-2 90 and then Blues to win 3-2 in extra time.
Yeah, we don't want penalties.
No, we absolutely don't. I don't know. There's just something about the way they play going forward. I mean, it is difficult. I mean, you said in the before the league game, now this could be win, lose or draw, couldn't it? As in, it's such a hard game to predict because it's a final. It has that, anything can happen in a final, can't it? It has that element to it. Peterborough do like to score a lot of goals, but they do concede a lot of goals. It's such a hard prediction to make. But I'll stick by it. 2-2 in 90 and then Blues to win in extra time.
Yeah, and also let's not forget as well, this is the Barry Frynal. So I'm sure Basil will get a really good reception from both teams as well. And
hope he does.
Because last time we were here in this final, he was our manager as well. So this is a real, sentimental. I would say, it couldn't be any better for him. The team that he's been with for 30-odd years, Peterborough, against a team that he absolutely loves and admits he loves, is Birmingham City. So fantastic. So we're all looking forward to seeing Barry there and having a good game. I'm just really enjoying ourselves, aren't we? And then obviously, is it Champions League football if we win this? I don't know. Anyway, let us know your thoughts, Birmingham City supporters, about what you think about the final. What you're looking forward to the most about the trip to Wembley, the atmosphere, the experience, whatever it is you want. Put it in the comments below. Let us know. Maybe if you agree or disagree with our starting line, let's put that as well. Peterborough United fans, we welcome comments from fans from the opposition teams as well, and we'd love to know your thoughts on your team, maybe your starting lineup and your aspirations for the game. Because don't forget, we're not underestimating you. You are the current cup holders, so we know it's going to be a game that you're going to really want to win and try your very best to do so. So we know it's going to be one of those games, but we're all looking forward to it. Add your comments below and let us know. If you did like this podcast, then don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't checked us out on our social media channels already, then pop along to our X page and our Instagram page. And if you like to watch or listen to your podcast on Spotify, you'll find us on there as well. And you'll see the handles appearing on the screen for all of these right now. If you haven't subscribed already and you'd like to, then press that big red subscribe button. And if you'd like to be notified every time we put a podcast out, there's a little bell icon next to the subscribe button. If you press that, you'll get a pop-up notification when we publish a new podcast. So that's it for this. We'll see you all at Wembley. Really looking forward to it. And myself and Matt will see you on the next podcast all about Birmingham City.